stream works, I'm going to do the same thing I did yesterday and set the stream up as well on the PC at the same time. So if I get sort of some of the messages or need to interact with some of the stuff, I can do it a bit easier on the screen. Because like yesterday, some of the chat actually broke on the mobile while it still worked on the screen. So get that up and then pause it, and then that should all be ready to go. Right, yeah, I think that's all good, set up and running, so hopefully we get some people on. So yeah, yesterday I got the video to the night vision, filmed and edited. There was a bit of footage I filmed annoyingly that didn't save properly, so there would have been a bit more footage, but yeah, that came out quite well. I just found where they, like, we'd obviously taken the delivery in, but I was just looking for the other day. I got some spare batteries for this dosimeter because it uses, all right, Rich, it uses some of those weird watch batteries, you know, whether it's a very specific size and voltage, this particular dosimeter. So I, when I tried to use it the other week, and I couldn't bodge a battery to fit the sort of battery cavity properly. Yeah, good, thanks, Jason. Out for dinner tonight with my parents, sort of as a late birthday meal thing, because we were going to do it close to my birthday, but as you know, I wasn't well, so doing it this week instead, so that should be nice. All right, user. But yeah, so this dosimeter is pretty straightforward. It only has really two functions. It has the bit, again, if it will focus on there, that says D for dose, and you can see the total dose I've got on there at the moment is 0, just under half a millisievert. And then that's the current dose rate. Now that starts off, I don't know if you can read it on there, at basically 0.00 millisievert. So it has to get to 0.01 millisievert before it registers on there, so 10 microsieverts. So this isn't a thing you could use for completely background radiation, but it does work pretty well as just a radiation alarm. My FiestaWare, I think, in this room should be strong enough to set it off. So if I just get the FiestaWare and pop it in there, I think this should hopefully in a second set the rate bit off on it. Have a look. That's still showing at 000 at the moment, but the FiestaWare in theory I'd have thought would have set it off. Oh yeah, there we go. Look, it's got to 0.1. As you'd expect, but as I've said before with this, you know, the FiestaWare isn't, you know, particularly strong, so that's not really going to matter anyway. Like I said, I can set the alarm off on it using some of my stronger samples, but yeah, stuff like FiestaWare isn't going to actually set it off. It's gone back to 0.00 again now. Oh, yeah, now it's gone back to dose mode, but just to prove that the stuff in there would actually, you know, potentially set it off. If I get that old finished Geiger counter out, that makes a nice cool ticking size. All right, my road to walk. Yeah, I'm good at the moment, thank you. So if I put that one on, as you'll be able to hear if I put this over here. So that, you know, like I said, there is stuff in there that would set it off. It's just obviously, I think this is the strongest bit I've got on there, I think. A bit of AM241 vial, yeah. That might actually tick even faster if I get out of there. But yeah, it's like it's properly sealed glass little thing, look, which is quite cool. Yeah, that does, but like I said, I'll pop that back in its little test tube. Well, the thing that's ticking is a Geiger counter. This little nice back red light. I've got some old sealed in the bag here, old radium painted watch hands, so actually yeah, that makes it tick faster, look. So that was, yeah, just where I bought some spares and repairs watch hands, but they're all old radium painted ones, so yeah, don't touch those and eat anything. But yeah, with the how it fall over there, I assume these would set the thing off to a decent dose rate if I just had them on there. Let's see. Ah, yeah, that's going to 0.02 millisieverts per hour on there. But again, this doesn't have a backlight, so. Oh, 0.08 now. I don't know what the rate has to be on here for it to set the alarm off. 0.07. But yeah, like I said, this decimeter is quite cool for what it is. It's just, like I said, one of those slightly annoying ones that takes a really weird type of battery. Oh, it's beeping at me then. It's probably let you know I hit a, I think this actually beeps sound again to let you know it's on. I think that might be one of the reason I took the battery out of this in the end, because it becomes a pain in the arse if you have it in a bedroom or something, because it will keep just beeping intermittently every 10 minutes to let you know it's still powered on, kind of thing. Anyway, I'll put those back where I found them. Oh, actually, I might have something more radioactive in here that I only just thought about. An old Soviet DP63. I don't think this is the one I've got that powers on, is it? Ah, yeah, this is the one I've got the powers on, so yeah, this isn't radioactive. Yeah, it's because if I've got one of these in one place which still has the radium back scale on. So, yeah, that one's more radioactive. But yeah, this doesn't tick, this Geiger counter. It's just one that, you know, tells you if you're in a radiation field. But yeah, that's why it actually has a bit of metal there, is to stop when it's in the case the radium blasting radiation into your face. Because yeah, that's always a good sign, isn't it? Let's put radioactive materials in our device to detect radiation, and then have to make the device offset its own radiation so it doesn't mess with the measurements. Right, pop that back over there out the way. But yeah, so that's that. The Geiger counter sound very cool. Yeah, I'm in the UK. You'd probably be able to guess, but yes, not an Aussie, mate. But yeah, classic old Geiger counter ticking sound I love. Obviously, you only want it ticking when you know why there's a reason for it ticking. You don't just want to randomly have one and then it suddenly start just ticking like mad. But yeah, so that's that. So yeah, hopefully everybody's all right. So yeah, like I said, just thought I'd do a stream today and see if it works again with a vertical stream. Because like I said, sometimes when I do these, YouTube actually shares them. So yeah, don't forget to like the stream if you're not subscribed, or you are subscribed, whatever, or dislike the stream if you like. I don't care. It's just I thought if I tell you to like or dislike the stream, it might increase the interactions with it. Because like I said, there's a lot of the time with YouTube where even if you're subbed or whatever, you won't get notifications for my videos. And like I said, I have the exact same issue with other channels I'm subbed to, that I often have to manually check if they've uploaded videos because YouTube doesn't even tell me. Yeah, to be honest, I don't have any of the ticking ones turned on overnight. Like saying, I have some of the ones like this that run 24/7. So basically, all you'd get is like kind of a bit like a smoke alarm type sound if they hit the radiation threshold. But these ones don't tick all the time because I think they'd just be considered too annoying, like the little personal decimeters, if they ticked all the time. So the ones of those I've got that, you know, because I think the one I really like is, I've not got it in this room, so I can't show it you, but it's very similar to this one. It's just a bit bonkier and a bit better. A little Thermo Fisher one. I think you can buy them for under £200 on eBay, and they're good because they take AA batteries instead of like one of those weird watch batteries. So it takes a single AA, you know, in the middle of it. It's a little bit fatter than this one, but not that bulky. And the cool thing with the Thermo Fisher one is, one, it doesn't have its turned on alarm sound, so you can have it in your bedroom like running 24/7 and it doesn't matter. But the thing I do like with that Thermo Fisher one is that like I said, it lasts months and months and months with a single AA battery. And yeah, it's got a very loud alarm if it goes off. Yeah, that's the problem, Tack. If you are subscribed and whatever, it's just completely random, it seems, if you get notifications or not. Because again, there's channels, like I said, that really annoys me of YouTube. There's even channels, I'm members of other channels, you know, where you pay for membership on people's channels. Oh, and just to shill it, you can pay for membership on my channel as well, but you don't get any good features. You just get a little members badge. But when I pay for membership on other channels, I get the thing as well where it doesn't even tell me sometimes when they've uploaded videos. And you'd think because I'm a member of a channel, that'd be the clearest way you'd be telling YouTube that actually, yeah, I want to know when this channel uploads because I actually like their content enough that I don't mind giving them a couple of quid per month to support them. You know, like some of the like film critic type channels, or I've got one that's like an audiobook channel I like where they just read you know, out of copyright audiobooks, and they're really good. But it's just one of those things where sometimes I'll go for months and things think they've stopped updating their channel, or they've gone on holiday or something, only to find there's a massive backlog, and YouTube's not let me know. So tomorrow, if I do a stream, I'll probably be streaming Red Dead Redemption on PC, because the PC release date is tomorrow, even though the game's been out for absolute years on Xbox 360 and PS3. But the proper port is finally coming out on PC tomorrow, and they were charging about RRP for it for not a brand new game. So I thought, what the hell, even if it's a bit buggy at launch, I'll buy it because I know I'll like that. And it's got for me, no, Kelly, because normally we don't even get kids trick or treat around here anymore. So I've got a pumpkin to chop up with a sword. All right, Rajiv? So what I'm going to do for I'll try and get it done in time for Halloween and then schedule it for Halloween, but I have to do it just on a day where the weather's good and, like, you know, I've not got anybody that's going to get annoyed if I do it, is because I've got the 1796 saber and I've not had a go at some fruit with that yet, fruit or veggies with my 1796. I'll do one where I'll see how many little chops I can do on a pumpkin, slicing and dicing a pumpkin with a 1796. Yeah, like some years, Rajiv, we like buy the sweets just in case we get them, and like some years we'll get like one or two like groups of parents, you know, taking their kids up, but that's it now. I think for the most part there aren't that many people in the village I live that actually have kids anymore. You know, they constantly go on about fertility rates and all that going down on the TV. Like, you know, compared to like when, especially if you drive past where like the school bus goes from in the morning, I know compared to when I went to secondary school and you'd see the kids also go into the primary school via bus, you know, where you'd have like 15 to 30 odd kids per day waiting at those bus stops. Now often you go past and you see like 3 or 4 kids there at most. So yeah, I don't think there's many people with actual children anymore where I live. And again, like, I don't think young families could even fucking afford to buy a house here. Not that it's a particularly nice place, just because of how stupidly, you know, inflated. Somebody says it's mute. I don't think I'm mute. I think other people can hear me. Because pretty sure other people can hear me because of the fact that there's not anything else playing on the speakers, are there? Is that what you're saying? That's not playing, that's not playing, that's not playing. No, all my tabs don't have anything playing on them. And that's paused. And people were talking about the Geiger counter click, so I know they can hear me. Yeah, what I've got at the moment as well that I haven't tested on a pumpkin yet, which I think's down here, yeah, it is, because I've nearly accidentally stood on it a couple of times when I forget to put this away, is the Todd Cutler, like, Norman Mace style one. Because I reckon this would be pretty damn good on a pumpkin. Again, it's basically just a rolling pin with a mace head on the end. But yeah, like, you know, like not the full-on flanged maces, but these, because these are actually a more practical weight for a mace. Because the problem is with a lot of the heavier style maces is they're designed for like really heavy committed swings against armor, where these are, you know, designed obviously to be used against unarmored stuff and light armor. Yeah, exactly, Rajiv. I could always this isn't a Halloween stream. I don't mind doing a Halloween stream on Halloween. I just have to make sure it doesn't interfere with the time Mike does his. So Halloween is Thursday, and that's good as well because it's not a work day either Thursday or Friday for me. So that means I can, you know, be quite easy on the timings of things. Yeah, this is just one of the yeah, I've still got gas masks. There's a load behind me, as you can see. And there's one on the mannequin behind me. It's just like I've said as well recently, is quite often when I've looked recently, there's not been any masks I've not seen, you know, before or whatever for sale. So the last couple of masks I bought were just industrial ones I hadn't seen before or never seen for a good price. But the problem is I've got a lot of gas masks. It's just a case of after a while you don't really see any new and interesting ones, you know, because all of the common surplus ones you either got or aren't really available, sort of thing. But yeah, this is one of the quite cheapo ones they do, the Todd Cutler ones. But yeah, it's a practical kind of realistic infantry mace, not the, you know, over the top kind of gothic looking maces. Because like I said, I've got a flanged mace somewhere, and I've also got a bar mace, which is like a big warhammery type thing. Probably over 150. I used to have a spreadsheet with all of them on. That's long since gone. Yeah, but that's the reason some of this stuff's had to move into here and made this room messier, as I've been saying to people recently, is where we had lots of flooding and rain in the bits of the UK recently. One of the rooms in the house where we used to put all of our storage, like every member of the family used it as their kind of junk room. Because that room's been water damaged, we're going to have the roof completely replaced on that room. You know, everything taken out, then have the carpets and all that, all the flooring redone after that, before we can put anything back into storage in there. So yeah, at the moment I need to actually be sensible and not get stuff, because yeah, we've kind of got to the point where we've binned loads of stuff that isn't needed anymore, or given away to charity shops, you know, if it was clothes and stuff like that. And even putting stuff in other places in the houses and sheds and that, we still haven't managed to clear the room completely, especially the furniture that's not damaged that we don't want to break up. Kelly, gas masks on my wish list. One of the ones I can buy, but they're still a bit expensive, they might come down a bit again because of corruption, is Russian PMK4 masks. I think I can RRP one of those at the moment for, or, you know, like average price is about £250 to £300, with all of its gear. And the PMK4 is actually quite a nice mask, but because I've got the C50 and I've tried an FM53 and it was pretty cool, but, you know, I don't really have need for it. There's not many masks at the moment I can actually think of that I'd want, because I've got the really high-end masks for personal protective use. You know, I've got some fairly good industrial masks for when I just want to do stuff, you know, and not damage a proper mask, but I want a good enough mask that protect me kind of mask. And I've got all the stuff for the other things. So yeah, in terms of masks, there's not all that much at the moment I can think of that's you know, like not being looked at, you know, kind of thing, if that makes sense. I'm sure now and again there'll be some really cool looking masks that pop up, you know, when armies adopt them or whatever, that I'd think, oh yeah, that looks like a really cool mask, but at the moment there's not much, you know. Which one's the Finnish M62? So it's obviously not the M61, is it? Which is the here, look. At the moment, I'd say no, not because of the... Oh, that's kind of interesting looking, if it's the thing coming up that I'm thinking of. But there's also some just coming up on eBay. So that's the one that just looks kind of like a rubber hood. Suajamarin M62. I mean, it looks kind of interesting, but yeah, there's some on eBay for like over £100, which I wouldn't pay for them. But yeah, they're like one of those masks that's kind of good enough type thing. Oh, I have eBay messages I'm meant to respond to. Let's see what they are. I'm hoping they're just the people who sometimes say, like, you know, I have now posted your thing, you know, thank you, blah, blah, blah. So I've got a thing I need to leave feedback for, but I haven't opened it yet because it's not very... Oh, please be aware that your item is shipped. You can find the eBay tracking number. That's good. And the other one is just another one saying my package is shipped. There's another thing I'm meant to be leaving feedback for that I need to get round to doing. But yeah, so you've got much better prices for them, yeah. We were on about the World War I masks the other day, weirdly. And the reason not for World War I mask, there is an interwar mask I've got down there, is just because of the fact that it's very easy to damage them, and they're, like, you know, quite rare in a sense, historical antiques World War I masks now. So I don't get them for that reason, just because I wouldn't look after them properly, and if they ended up just getting, you know, bunged with loads of other masks behind me, they're going to get damaged. That's why I don't buy something that if I know I'm not going to look after it properly, in that sort of sense. But yeah, I was saying about interwar masks, there's now 702 there, which is basically interwar or very early. Two with the funny instructions again. Just another production year on it. Oh, this one is 1939, but yeah, they did make some of these before the war. Horrible old rubber smell there. Almost a nice smell, kind of not. And a filter you definitely don't want to breathe through there. Yeah, L702s are one of those weird masks where sometimes they turn up super, super cheap for being such an old mask. Because again, it's kind of weird that you can get a, you know, like almost perfectly preserved World War II or just before World War II mask for such low prices. Oh, you mean that uniform? Death Corps of Krieg Commissar. But yeah, that's because it's an East German on that one, on the mannequin. And again, that mannequin used to live in another room, but now it's over here just because of the fact that it's, I said the room it was in is the room that's now having to have been completely, like, gotten all the stuff out of it for having the roof and everything redone. I don't blame you for keeping it in the plastic if it's got a deadly filter on it. The asbestos word that YouTube will randomly censor. But yeah, speaking of Finnish stuff, what I want to try and get from Finland, and there's a couple of people I know from Finland I talk to online, so I've got them looking out for me in case they spot them for a good price, is the older Geiger counter than this one Finland used. Is it the Wallach RD7, I think it is, because this one's the, is it RD9? Yeah, this one's the RD8, so I think it's the Wallach RD7, which is the one that's kind of more like a CDV 700 looking thing. So it's the one that, you know, you hold more like the old US style ones where it's got the circular kind of glass analog needle. But the Wallach, you know, the Wallach RD7 is one that I quite want just because you can power it on D cells. I think it does the milli Rontgen range all the way up to, I think it's 100 Rontgen on an RD7. I mean, this one actually has a bigger range than that, just on 2 scales. But the RD7 is like that vintage kind of look to a Geiger counter I really like, but also, you know, built to a good enough standard that they're not going to, you know, not working. And they run on D-cell batteries, which is great, because the problem with so many old Geiger counters, as we've said before, is a lot of them run on old weird kind of batteries that you can't get anymore. Most of my Soviet masks I just got on eBay. You can still find Soviet masks on eBay, they just cost a lot more than they used to cost. But yeah, if you're in the US, it'll be probably a bit different what you can and can't find on eBay, just because of the fact that obviously on US eBay you don't have all the easy access to all the European stuff. All right, Steel Batoid. So yeah, there's obviously all that. What the Soviet masks, like for example, that MM1, that was only about probably somewhere between 15 and 30 pounds for the mask, the hose. It has a GP5 style filter on it, not the like EO14 style filter, and its satchel. That was somewhere between 15 and 30 pounds, so you know, like $20 to $40 at the time. That was, but again, that's going back like 10 years ago. That was when you used to be able to get the Soviet masks prior to COVID and everything at really good prices. Most of all the Soviet masks I got were like $30 at most each. You know, most of them were just, sometimes they came in a bag, sometimes not. But in general, a Soviet mask bag and filter was only used to be about $30 roughly a mask. But obviously all the prices have long since gone silly with loads of gas masks. I'll get rid of the person doing that. Weirdly, YouTube didn't apparently hide their comment for what they said, which surprised me, seeing as YouTube blocked so many other comments. Yeah, basically the same, Kelly, in the UK. I don't have any good proper radios. I've got some Baofeng type things. And the most I can do of interest with those is there's an airport near me, so I can listen to the local air traffic control tower with my one. But yeah, you can listen into stuff fine, but you need a license to broadcast on certain things. Yeah, I'm interested in Warhammer. Again, don't have the money, believe it or not, or the you know, space and patience to do all the figure painting and that. Although I do have some Necrons and some Space Marines and Orcs with my 40k. But again, that was just when I used to play tabletop at secondary school against other nerds. You know, after that, my interest pretty much went in it because I didn't want to go to Games Workshop and play with all the sweaty weirdos that went down there. That's probably being very harsh, but you know what I mean. It was one of those things I liked when there was a model club at school, and you know, you could do it there. But yeah, so what I'll do is, because I've got a lot of this out recently, at some point soon I'll do a video, probably just a short or whatever, just showing a load of my Warhammer figures. Not that it's an impressive collection or anything, just because it might interest some people, because again, I've got to a load of them recently, because we've been clearing stuff out. Yeah, Jason, I know some people like that. All right, Peach. They probably tack. It's probably one of those things that if you now and again unlicensed did it, you'd probably be fine. But I think the more you do it, the more likely you are to be caught, kind of thing. But yeah, Jason, there's somebody I work with that's really, really good at painting the figures, but they've got absolutely no interest in 40k or whatsoever. They just like, you know, painting the miniatures and that. So they don't just do like Warhammer and 40k and that. They do a few other like different like, you know, things as well. Like, so they're one of those people that's really good at doing miniatures and painting them, but they don't have much interest in the actual stories behind the miniatures. They just enjoy, you know, the skill of finally painting stuff. Yeah, I'd feel less guilty, Ronaldo, going into some of the other dodgy knocking shops in town. But yeah, I don't even know if the Game Workshop's still in Oxford. But like I said, I don't even go into Oxford anymore because I don't need to. Yeah, what was I going to talk about that was related to the chat in thing? But yeah, what I do like, going back to what Kelly was saying, is I do like field telephones. Now, I've got a load of those, and I don't think I've done videos on field telephones, but if I'm just going to wedge that where it hopefully isn't going to fall. There's one here. Now, I don't know if... Oh, no, I've not got batteries in that one, so never mind, but you still get the gist of what I'm talking about. Yeah, if I can get all the stuff, because this was, again, not at the top of it. Now, unfortunately, this one's going to be a bit too difficult to get out because it's in a pile of stuff, and I know if I pull it out, it's going to then start jungering the entire tower of storage stuff. But field telephones I like, as in, you know, the ones where you just put batteries in them. They don't even, some of them technically need batteries. And then you, you know, connect basically just a positive and negative wire to another field telephone, and you can have little field telephone exchanges as well. And then you can ring up another field telephone either with a magneto crank or with like an electric dialer. I just like those because they're like intercoms, you know, where you can set up your own telephone network that can't be tapped unless people physically connect your wires. So I've got a few old army field telephones. They're the sort of thing where I'll buy them off eBay if I see one that's advertised as working or looks in good condition, you know, and the person doesn't want much money for them. So I've got a couple of like the different British Army variants and like other MOD sort of Ministry of Defence ones. But yeah, field telephones I find quite cool. Yeah, what I could see you more into, Rich, is probably doing like the like scale miniature models of all the little archers and footmen and that, because you sometimes see cool things of that aren't like medieval fantasy ones. Because, you know, sometimes if you go to castles, they have or museums, they have like big dioramas, don't they, of all like the actually like realistically done scale models of castles and all the little people walking around with bows and like swords and that. Yeah, saying I haven't done it in ages though, Jason. Like I say, anything to do with Warhammer, because again, with all the stuff I've got that takes up this much space, I don't need to start getting back into Warhammer again. But yeah, field telephones are good fun. And like I said, what I've was doing videos with yesterday, I'll just unplug this from the PC where I had the thing on charge, is the really good Chinese night vision, where again, there's no point really trying to show it off very well in here because of the fact that, like I said, you're never going to be able to which way around is it? You're never going to you know, in a place like this notice just how good a night vision like this sort of is, because of the fact that obviously I'll flick the ceiling light off just so you can see it that way. So give me 1 minute. On the other side of the room. Now, if I flick this light off, again, this will look better than obviously this looks better, far better, this thing, when you record directly through it. So that's the right way up. Okay, it's only the interface that changes depending on the orientation. There we go. But yeah, you should be able to see that, especially if I flip the screen off a second. Hang on. Okay, there we go. You should get a good there you go. That will give you a good impression of how good this night vision is. Again, like I said, I can record directly from this digital unit, so it's and that's without any IR illumination on or whatever. This is just one where it's so good at amplifying light that it looks like that. Because just to prove it, you can probably see from the camera there's no IR illuminator on, because if I want to put the IR illuminator on, it would look like that. This actually uses a wavelength for this that isn't even a very visible one to the phone camera. But yeah, that's with the IR illuminator on. You can see its little sidebars on there now. But yeah, it's quite hard to hold this up and then operate it backwards. But and then that's IR on. Is that IR back off? Yeah. But yeah, like I said, this is very good. This it's a Chinese ADNV. What's trying to remember the actual little acronym? I think it's PVS, but I'm going to double check that. Or is it PNV, something like that? Sorry, G14 ADNV G14 P2. Don't know if that's readable there. And I don't know if this camera actually autofocuses when you do a stream like this, or if I have to manually tell it to do it. Now that light's going to shine in the thing, isn't it, and stop it. Yeah, it's hard to always do it. It's an ADNV G14 P2. I did a video with that the other day. I'm just going to get rid of the people asking dodgy questions in the chat. But yeah, like I said, this is a very, very, very competent. It's the equivalent of Gen 3, basically, analog night vision as digital. So yeah, you can see that. There I am. So I assume that has got the IR illuminator off, hasn't it? Let me double check if that's off or on. Luminance. Ah, there we go. There's the light on. Yeah, you can see the lights on now. Look, with that little purple glow. Sorry, I actually didn't put that on before. So there you go. That's it with the IR light on, and you can tell the IR light's on. Look, because it's kind of being too overly bright on my face. So if I then turn that off, you can see, like I say, that this is me legit actually showing you what this looks like in a dark room, not you know, putting IR light on and saying, oh, the night vision's that good. But so you can actually read most of the poster as well in the back there. It's good enough clarity, even with light amplification for stuff like that. Did turn it off, didn't it? Light off. Yeah, that's definitely off now because it's not reflecting off the stuff. Yeah, the name is Tack. I'll put all the lights on again properly in that in a bit. Actually, I won't do the ceiling light because I have to go to the other side of the room. We'll just keep this spooky lighting up there with the mannequin. There we go. That looks good on the stream. Even though it doesn't look very good on my face. It's an ADNV G14 P2. The RRP of these, for people asking, is about £2,000 to £3,000 or dollars. It depends on which retailer you buy it from and all the stuff like that. It's got all the helmet mountings and that. What these do, which is nice because they're digital, is, as you can see, it's got a recorder unit attached to it. So what I can do with this is you can record to you know, your own you can basically record to this like an SD card kind of thing, where unlike, obviously, the problem is, if lots of you will know, if you've ever played with night vision, with analog night vision, you can't record from it. You have to try and hold your phone up behind it like I was doing there just for this stream, whereas this thing, you can actually, you know, digitally output the stuff from it. Yeah, happy Halloween. So yeah, if you didn't see, I did do a video with this last night where I went out where it was actually properly dark. Somebody pointed out to me in that video, one of the blokes I work with, and he was absolutely right. There's one point where you can actually see a bat fly past in the video. definitely not Grey Husky until everything's finished being cleared out again at the moment. Also, the horrible thing with these night visions is, I can't really show it you there, not with this night vision itself, but you can see where everything has little flickering infrared lights on it. So many electronics now have those tiny flickering IR lights that, you know, I can look at things and go, oh, that looks horrible. That, you know, you never notice with your human eye, because obviously your human eye can't see IR. You can also do between 100 FPS and 50 FPS in this. This is set to 50 FPS now. You can see it says at the top the FPS if it makes out on the camera, but yeah, the anyway, the whole point of that was just I was getting at that it's like I was saying that with this, oh, and this is the extended battery compartment. It normally takes one small battery, but I've put the bigger compartment on so I can have an 18650 battery in it and get double the life out of it. Anyway, I'll flick that off, but yeah, this is very, very impressive night vision, because it's one of the first digital units to become, you know, in parity, if you want to call it that, or whatever, with US, you know, PVS 14s, whatever they're called. So yeah, that's a G14P2 if I remember right. Let me just put the screen back on. I'll see if I can link to the website that they do ADNV, because like I said, annoyingly, when I tried to actually link to the ADNV website yesterday on the video I did yesterday, I think their website was either down or like they've changed the layout on it. So yeah, let's have that interrogation light back on my face, which, yeah, very ugly. You can see all the spider's webs up there with the bright LED. All right, Callie. All right, Eddie. So yeah, but let me see if I can get ADNV's website up. But yeah, so like Alpha Delta November Victor night vision, basically. Here's like the mobile-y sort of site they have, which again, I don't know why their main sort of yeah, interrogation line. I don't know why their main website doesn't seem to work very well at the moment. But there you go. There's the one. So if you scroll down a bit, see where it says the G14P2. That's the one I've got there, just with the recorder box attached to it. But yeah, so I think they've got like basically it's mostly a mobile style website layout at the moment. But yeah, I don't think you can buy directly through ADNV for the people on here. You'd need to sort of what you'd need to do is basically find a retailer, you know, in your own country that basically does ADNV stuff, I imagine. But yeah, like I said, I was able to get hold of ADNV stuff thanks to Hype. Basically, I was able to buy through ADNV when they were getting it out, because obviously that way ADNV wanted to sell some to some YouTubers to start with, because that way people would put footage up of them. Because yeah, they knew they had a good product, so what better way of doing it than like offering like YouTubers the sense to like essentially buy them first before they hit the main market, and then there'd be a lot of pre-advertising for them. Yeah, well, the mannequin can sit there. It's coming up to Halloween. That's fine for the mannequin to sit there before Halloween. I actually find it less creepy, a mannequin on with a gas mask on its face and just a kind of grey, not human face on them. You know, because it has the contours of a human face but no face. So yeah, it's got the mannequin there. Like I said, the mannequin doesn't bother me actually. It's one of those things that I think for the first month I had it, it would make you jump every now and then because you'd forget you had it, you know, in a certain room in the house. But after a while, you just get so used to it that, and like I said to people before, the great thing with a mannequin like that is we used to put it by our back window. So if somebody like climbed over your back garden fence and was trying to break, say, you know, like pick the lock of your back door or whatever, or kick your back door in, if they looked through the window, they'd see the silhouette of like a 6-foot odd mannequin behind, you know, behind the thing, and it would look like somebody's there watching them out the window. So that was the really good thing about that mannequin. It was like a cheap kind of security measure. Because again, where the window was, you couldn't make out the details of it. You could just see it was like somebody in clothing, you know, that was over 6 foot tall, just stood staring at them. So yeah, theft deterrent. It's like those things you see of the people that have the what you call them, like, you know, the things that make it look like there's somebody watching TV in a house even if nobody's in. Like you can get these things now which are just kind of like LED projectors that are meant to look like yeah, scarecrow for scumbags. Exactly, Dave. Exactly that. Yeah, you got it completely right. So yeah. I don't think I've ever used that NBC suit. So what's it called? JP75. Let me have a look. JP75 NBC suit. The only Czech kind of NBC suit thing I had was what came in my Not Myra one. Oh, there's some on Etsy. Let's have a look. Oh, that might actually be the crappy bin bag one I've got. I'm not sure if it's that or not. Hang on. Yeah, I don't have the bag handy, but when I bought my Czech, what do they call it? The OM90, their S10 ripoff, it had something like that included in the bag with it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the channel, Dave. But yeah. Yeah, it's the one that's like a plastic bin bag NBC suit. Yes, I'm pretty sure that was the one that came included in the OM90 thing. If it wasn't a full one of those, it was kind of like just the top half of one of those. Favorite World War II helmet? I'm trying to think. Now, visually, obviously, Stahlhelms, they're the coolest looking of the World War II helmets. I know this is a retro one as well, by the way. But yeah, these were like the best of the kind of cut out shapes of the World War II helmets, but they generally didn't have the best steel quality in the Stahlhelms. So again, Swiss M18s are even bulkier than this, but I think there's a Dutch one I always really like the look of. I think it's a Dutch one that's kind of a bit like the East German helmet. Let me just have a quick look. Dutch World War II helmet. Yeah, Netherlands M34. If you look up the Netherlands M34, it's a bit like the East German helmet, where it's just kind of like one of those very conical helmets. But yeah, there's the M33 Italy had as well is a really good helmet for its age, as in, you know, it predated lots of the as I say, it's like, you know, the Italian M33 predated a lot of the modern sort of steel bowled helmets. Oh, and the Talker helmets are interesting as well. If you've ever seen those, the ones of people on ships where they've got like the giant helmet that like all the headphones and that could fit under. SSH-36, that's like the one with the Adrian style thing across the top, isn't it? I'm just looking at some of the ones on Wiki at the moment. I've got an SSH-40 Polish copy from after the war. But yeah, lots of nations had kind of variants on Stahlhelms. Obviously, Britain had this famous Brodie style one, which is actually a fairly... The thing is, people think the Brodie is crap because it doesn't give much head coverage, but it was a very effective early helmet because it's basically like a kettle helmet where it's got, you know, the steel main bit and then it's just got the brim. And the idea is that if you're laying prone, the shrapnel is definitely not going to hit you on the head or neck. Because again, the whole point of helmets originally was, before obviously modern ballistic helmets, it was to, you know, stop you getting fragged to pieces by artillery shrapnel. And somewhere, it'll be somewhere around here as well, because I can see the Mandergaard bit for it. But I've got the, you know, British helmet with all the, like the modern British helmet with all those bits that go with it. This one. Oh, there's the PTM one, and we were on about that the other day. There's the other version of it. Right, is this really dusty inside? Am I going to regret putting this on? Yeah, that'll probably even work with this helmet, won't it, funny enough? And yes, I still have the foul, but you can't see it on a live stream because that would go against YouTube's policy and I get a strike. And this thing fogs up horribly fast, as you can probably see, because of the fact that it's just literally a cloth hood with some plastic lenses on it. So, yeah, let's take that off. But yeah, that's the PTM ones from that, like, you know, helmet-y advert thing. 40mm hoses won't directly go onto a PDF, unfortunately. But yeah, anyway, what was I going to say? I won't be on too much longer now. I've been on, what, 45 minutes? But yeah, like I said, if I was to use a helmet for actual use, I've got like the modern British Army one, plus all the accessories for that, and I could also put my night vision on that. There's also, I've got a British Mark 7 over there, which is probably my favourite of all my old Kevlar helmets. I could probably rotate that and you'll be able to see it if the lighting's good enough. See the Mark 7 helmet there? So that yellowy tan bit sticking out of that box underneath, like where the Polish Geiger counter is on the wall, that's the British Mark 7 helmet there on that bit. Anyway, take that off now. It's getting a bit warm in here. I think, though, that's normally gets quite stupidly warm in here when I have that light on there because, although it's an LED light, it does pump out a lot of heat when you've got that on. What's the most useful gas mask I own? As I was saying on yesterday's stream, the Avon C50, just because it's a very modern mask that does all the things modern masks do, but it takes 40mm filters, not like the M50 with its proprietary filters. So this, and the nice thing with this as well is if you look at how cut down the top straps are, the reason they do that, which initially doesn't seem very good, is so helmets fit with a mask better. Spider in the background. Everybody constantly says that when I'm on the stream, so I don't believe you. There's definitely spiders' webs in the background, but I'm yet to, every time somebody goes, oh, there's a spider on your thing, there's a spider, I'm yet to ever see one. And if it's one of those, oh, made you look thing, it gets pretty boring after a while because, you know, there's never ever one there whenever I look. No, I didn't, John. Is that in Mike's Discord? If so, I'll have a quick look now before I forget. And again, that light, though, is a bit annoying for looking at the thing. And typically now I'm getting PMs to look at as soon as I start trying to do this. So is that on weapons and gear? Let's scroll to the bottom of weapons and gear. Oh, that is nice, John. Yeah, so it's like a really nice K-bar-y sort of knife, isn't it? As long as I don't get to be the zombie in the Kentucky Ballistics video, I don't mind. But yeah, that is nice. So there's something I really like about the big old Bowie knife type of knives, that they're just like good, straightforward old knives, aren't they? And I always like leather-wrapped handles because that always is just something that makes me think of good quality old sort of knives and swords. Because it's sort of what my YouTube channel does, Verse Attack, or whatever your name is, right now. That's pretty cool. Again, that if you did all the 3D printing stuff, you could probably get that to work. It's just a bit of a ball ache otherwise. Okay, yeah. But I'm just sort of saying that's what initially reminded me of. Well, considering the state of the UK, that is we're certainly probably going to have some sort of shit hits the fan, but not for the survival LARPing reasons. No, that the UK is just a bit of a fucked country. So just collection, but a lot of it could come in handy. But yeah, for the most part, the UK is a pretty doomed failed state anyway. We've been over Myra masks loads of times, Soap, on here. Myra don't make masks, they just sell other people's masks at a massive markup. So I have done some reviews of some of the masks Myra sell, but I'm not calling them Myra masks. I'm using them, you know, doing the videos under the real names of the masks. Yeah, BEM 4GP, I quite like that because it has the rotating, locking down, up, left and right thing, doesn't it? It's just, that's one of those masks I think it's a shame it didn't do well, because if it did well, I think it'd been cool if there were more masks like that. If I remember right, they had some problems with the initial like run of them. And then I think Avon just offered like the Netherlands or Belgium or whatever that they could buy FM12s in bulk for like a really good price. Yeah, it was Belgium, isn't it? Because it's got the jigsaw bag for it. Yeah, so basically, in the end, Avon basically just did them a big bulk deal on FM12, so they ended up going for that rather than, you know, trying to sort all the production lines out for the 4GP. But anyway, I'll be off in a minute because my throat's going a bit sore from all the talking. And when I pick stuff and move it around, the dust will get down me a bit as well with my asthma and like hay fevery type stuff. So I'm just gonna, as Nick's Knives recommends, just have a that smelling salt that at least clears your nose out. Because the FP211 filters are GOST threaded. What, like the flashes in the napalm launcher? No. I've got an AT4 that's discarded, so like, and a Strela 2 that's discarded. You can see the Strela 2 behind you, but I better not point at it. But yeah, I don't have a flash launcher or an M72 or anything. Nearly all my bits I've just bought off of eBay. But yeah, smelling salts are good with ammonia for clearing your nose out of it. But yeah, sort of evil things, smelling salts, but they do their job. I'd like to have a lot of things, but they take up too much room. And again, I'd rather not have a replica. I'd rather just have the deactivated original ones. Because again, I know some people do the 3D printed like tubes, but I'd rather have the ones where they've just been fired and then, you know, they've just like, because with my AT4, it's literally barely any different than the tube as soon as it's fired, because they're like fire once sort of launch. It's like the AT4. They just literally, once they've shot them, all they do to deactivate them to UK standards, deactivate, is they just literally weld a bit like a metal bar in the front and back. It's not even weld, they just punch it through with a hammer, and then therefore you can't put a new rocket in it, so it's fine. S10 is pretty good, but again, it depends what period you mean by surplus. Oh, and thank you again for that, Nat. As I just said, MC1 I got off of eBay, like nearly all my stuff. But yeah, anyway, I'll be off now. Like I said, I'm out to have dinner tonight because, like I said, it was my birthday last week, but because I was a bit ill last week, we prolonged a lot of stuff. Postponed, whatever the word is you use, you know, where we were going to go out for dinner and that, we postponed it this week, so I'd actually want to have an appetite and that. Launchers like that, most of the stuff in them that is the interesting bit is the missile, not the plastic tube they come out of. I'm just gonna let you in on the top military secret here that I don't think is going to get me arrested or sent to prison for anything. Yeah, but annoyingly with Denic stuff, you can only get in the UK because of all of the stupid imitation firearm type things rules we have. You can only get the Denic stuff that's like Old West style Denics. Otherwise, you'd need the same rules as buying basically the functioning thing. But anyway, yeah. So to let you in on the secret, right? Stuff like the M72 law and all those, it's all down to the rocket inside. The tube is literally just a metal tube with a little firing thing going through to shoot the rocket, because they're disposable things. Things like the law and the AT4, they're literally fire once tubes. It's no different than somebody using a bit of drain pipe or you know, whatever like that. Most of those military like launched missiles, yeah, did see combat in Vietnam. M72 law is really good. It's still seeing combat in Ukraine today because loads of them donated and they still work M72 laws. Like the fire once things, like all of the bit that does anything is the missile itself. You know, that's what propels itself, the missile. That's got the warhead on that explodes. How do you mean, TAC? It's just basically however things fall under UK laws. So what we have is annoying is because of idiots that when airsoft guns first became like a thing, that, you know, would hold up shops with airsoft guns and that, we had a lot of restrictions put on them when they're not illegal, but they're you know, like you have to have a kind of valid reason for getting them. So even some people with firearms licenses don't have airsoft guns because they're not like interchangeable things, if that makes sense. What they text us in? They told you to break the sights after use before, like in case that there was. Were those the ones with like the little scopes on them, or was it just the flip up sights? Because mine's got the flip up sights and they're still fine on mine. But I know with, for example, N-Laws, quite a lot of, I think the sights on those get recycled or whatever. Because I know some people as well, because it's ACOG that does the sight for the N-Law. They're not as high zoom as like the proper 4x ACOG on the like say the rifle ACOG. But I know the ACOG that's on the N-Law, a lot of people have ended up recycling with a rail adapter onto firearms. But yeah, Tack, to basically to explain it really easily and hopefully in a way that doesn't upset all the YouTube stuff where they don't like any of this stuff, is how it works in the UK is because we have specific rules on blank firers, specific rules on replicas and that. Some of them have to strictly fit into one category and not the other. So, like I don't want to point to it now because I just went to do it and it's slightly out of frame. But again, YouTube rules. Like where I've got like 9mm blank firers, they're absolutely fine, but they can't be front venting in the UK. They have to be top venting, otherwise it would just be you just buy a firearms. You know, you'd have your firearms license and then just load blanks into it. So it's like one of those weird things like that, where there's certain things where you can sometimes own stuff you'd think would be more restricted and it's not. But sometimes I think, and again, it's because a lot of these rules weren't, a lot of these rules were like made at various times and don't really make sense of each other. So, you know, sometimes you can buy stuff that's more restricted that has like no rules on it. Like over there, and again, it's the YouTube live stream, so I can't show you. I've got a couple of live rifles because they're obsolete caliber rifles, which means they're either muskets or old, like, you know, 1880s bolt actions that used black powder centerfire cartridges. So it's those sort of things where they're not even considered firearms by UK law. I mean, you'd probably get in a shitload of trouble if you pointed one at somebody and threatened them with it. But for the sake of the law, like a musket in the UK is same as in the US and some states, I believe. Black powder firearms aren't firearms anymore. So it's just weird stuff like that, you know, where lots of the laws don't make sense of each other in a way. So going back to the Denix thing, it's basically the old Denix cowboy style guns you can get because they don't break any rules. If you're to get a Denix modern replica, they don't like those because they consider them imitation firearms. Most guns in the UK aren't even semi-auto. The only semi-auto things really are semi-auto shotguns and stuff like Ruger 1022s, like for civilian use anyway. But yeah, for the person saying about my monetization, it really depends. Gas mask videos are normally all right. Basically, anything I do on a blank firer gets demonetized. Yeah, it's really just random. You can actually have ARs and AKs in the UK if they've been rechambered to 22 LR as semi-autos, but if they're in 5.56 or 7.62 or whatever, then they have to be they have to have the gas system removed on the UK licensing system. So with an AR, you'd be charging at every shot like that right at the back, or with an AK, you know, you'd be literally doing that with its charging handle every shot because they remove the gas systems. For whatever reason. Again, we used to have laws pretty similar to the US into the 80s, and then we had two mass shootings where they basically massively just banned and restricted lots and lots of types of firearms. So, yeah. So the weird thing is if you look at UK stuff prior to like the mid-80s, we had lots of gun laws that were basically identical to a lot of US states, where, you know, some guns basically didn't even need any sort of license. You could just buy them with a bit of paperwork that basically said, because really, I think you needed a license for a shotgun, but it wasn't a license as in, you know, I am not a crazy person kind of license that people think of the licenses today. I think it was just you had to pay £50 in the post office. So you could go to a post office, pay to get your piece of paper license that say I am a shotgun holder, then you can immediately go to the gun shop and say, right, I want to get, you know, like a Browning semi-auto shotgun or whatever, 12 bore, 12 gauge, and that just used to be how it was done, and didn't used to cause that many issues. The biggest issues people used to have with shotguns in this country were either people sawing them off to hold up post offices, Or the thing I'm not allowed to mention on a YouTube live stream, but people self-deleting with shotguns. That used to be another common popular use for them. But other than that, they weren't really that bad. Nobody did much damage with them, but now they're much more restricted because some horrible people did things, you know, in schools and, like, you know, villages and things like that with them in public places. You know, like happens in America a lot. And then the governments of the day said, oh, rather than fixing all the other issues going on in society, we'll just make guns harder to get, and then everything will be fine. And as everybody will know that knows anything about mental health and whatever, that doesn't fix any of the problems that deeper down you have in society just by simply banning something that's semi-auto or whatever. But that's the way the UK went. Anyway, my coffee's gone cold now, so I'm going to drink a cold coffee as soon as I finish the stream. I had it in my big mug as well, fairly decent sized mug, and that's there's a spider on the mug probably somewhere. Where so he was like, oh, there's a spider on your wall. Oh, there's a spider. Look on the mug. Yeah, is that the SBR thing text just before I go? Because I know what's really weird with the SBR is, like, I really like the Polish PD, what's it, PD63 not Scorpion, that's the Czech one. There's something to 56, whatever it is, but you know, the Polish, like, the rack, basically, PM63 rack, the Polish, like, machine pistol thing. And that, weirdly, in America, is one where, although by default it has a folding front handguard and it has, like, the collapsible kind of telescoping stock on it, you have to have an SBR in America to actually use the thing in the stock with it. Otherwise, you just have to hold it like an oversized pistol. And there was a thing, yeah, the SBR thing. I think I was watching a Forgotten Weapons video earlier about the MP9 and, like, you know, the Steyr TMP and all that. And it was saying basically if you're in the US and you didn't have the SBR for it, you can't have the front grip on it. So it's basically more concealable. I know it's because it makes it more controllable. But again, it's such a weird thing, the SBR thing. That's one of the things I don't get. You know, like, I can get a lot of the other laws in the US. But yeah, the SBR one just doesn't make sense to me. We were on about SBRs, John. I was just going off, but you're on about SBRs and the ones about tax stamps and all that. So is that the reason the ATF only cares about SBRs? Because you're not paying your tax money? So it's one of those things that if you pay enough money, we'll let you do it, but otherwise, no, because of tax purposes. And then they shoot your dog if you've not paid your tax properly, and shoot your pregnant wife and whatever else the ATF like to do. Do I have an L85? No, I don't even have a deactivated L85 because although you can buy them deactivated here, there's so much money for what they are. I've got the SLR, which is the British version of the FAL before the L85 was adopted. And I've got an airsoft version of the L96, the bolt-action sniper rifle thing. I've got a number 4 Lee, not number 4 Lee Enfield. I've got number 1 Mark III Lee Enfield as well. Don't have a Sterling or a Sten gun. I've got a Bren gun as well, but the Bren gun, but well, Bren gun, but no, don't have the L85 has a bayonet a bit like the USM9. It's like one of those wire cutting style ones where it's got a weird kind of like hollow handle bit, so the barrel can go through the handle bit, and the blade then goes left of the left or right. I can't remember of the thing. At least on the earlier ones it did, because I've got the bayonet from L85. I just don't have the L85 itself. And it's the ATF, yeah. So, well, like, yeah, various bits of it. Yeah, it was a bigger bill, and that was when the only bits stuck. Makes sort of sense, I suppose. Anyway, all right, see you, everybody. What was I going to say? Tomorrow, if I stream, I'll hopefully be streaming Red Dead Redemption, the first one, because they're the PC like re-release, PC port after a decade or so of the game being out, comes out tomorrow, and I like Red Dead Redemption 2, so I'll probably play some of that. Polish Uzi. Well, speaking of cool band names, just before I go off, one of my friend's aunts adopted a dog that would otherwise have been killed, and apparently it came from a Romanian kill house, and I thought Romanian kill house sounds like a good metal name. Apparently it's a really nice dog in that they've adopted, but I haven't met it yet. But it was one of those ones, you know, where in a lot of Eastern European countries where dog populations are out of control, they just basically kill and cremate them. No, I've not, Davey. I'll look into it. But again, loads of stuff like that. I hear that they're doing stuff and then they never seem to do it. And it was like the zombie knife thing that they did is like the 5th iteration of whatever that is after years and years and years. So I'll read into it, but I'll see what crap it is that they're proposing, because I'm sure it's not a good thing. They never make laws for the better here, do they? Especially under our dear leader Keir Stalin at the moment, who right-wing thuggery. We need to let the rapists and the murderers out of prison to make room for you that say nasty things online, so you can be killed in prison, because I hate you. I hate you all. Right, I'll have to properly read it up, Davey, because I obviously, like I said, with stuff like that, you need to read what the actual letter is of the law and everything. Yeah, I obviously live in the UK, Alex, because like with all the stuff like that, like often I've had people on YouTube tell me a law's coming up and then nothing ever happens. So again, it's like with the knives, I made sure to just get rid of the only knife I had that could have even been considered a zombie knife well ahead of when that law came in, you know, just destroyed it. But how sharp are my knives? Again, I keep saying going off and people keep asking questions. Completely depends on the knife. Some knives I've got a like razor sharp, you know, you could probably shave with them kind of thing, cut paper with them really easily. Other knives I've got are fairly blunt because they're more like bayonet kind of, you know, thrusting knives. Just depends on the knife and how often I sharpen it. Like the knives I actually end up sharpening the most are more like the Swiss Army type knives I've got, because they're the most practical use ones. I end up using the most for like opening stuff. Oh, very interesting. Right, Davey. I'll definitely have a read up of this if I can find some stuff online. But yeah, I do know as well that a lot of our police don't know our own laws. So yeah. Anyway, I am gonna have a read up now. I'm gonna see if I can find something about this. But I do know from a guy I work with. Just before I go off again, I keep saying that. A while ago, he had a police visit over something. And the stuff he had that potentially should have been the stuff they were looking at, they picked up completely the wrong stuff and then had to give it him back, because again, the officers that were in charge of like going after his stuff or whatever just didn't know what they were looking for, basically. So they went for the scariest looking stuff, not the stuff that might have actually been breaking the law. Well, bayonets are for stabbing more than cutting for the most. An SS hat. That is an East German hat because it's got the Masonic looking compass on it. This is the closest thing I've got to an SS hat. SS metal hat. But you see here, we will be ending the stream because the stream has gone on for too long, and you know, I have things to do. So I will hopefully be seeing you all tomorrow for a stream then tomorrow. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. Achtung.